So, as Mireia mentioned, ACR is the leader of the EWWR project, and we are also acting as the technical secretariat of the European Way Forward solution. As you know, food is the major topic of the year. Even though 2014 has not been officially designed as the European Year on the fight against food waste, it's really the hot topic for many organizations. The fact is that it's not for nothing. We have seen many examples that food is wasted every day in all over Europe and all over the world. You have here a picture that has been taken in the city of Waitrose in the United Kingdom, and you can hear all very apparently good products that were very edible. Some of them are also unpacked, so they were just sold. But this is another picture that was taken in the same city of Waitrose in the UK, and it shows that actually those projects, the ones that I just showed, are really finding a place in the bins, which is really not the right way to do things. I have to mention that the food projects that you just saw on this slide were found in the bins, in various bins of the Waitrose city. So they are in all perfect shape and really eatable. And this is how you can see some of those products in the same city. So it's not. It's really an issue also for so-called industrialized and developed countries. So, but it's not only a European issue. You have probably read the many information that were shared about food and the fact that between 1/3 and half of food that is produced annually is wasted worldwide, and this amounts to 1.3 billion tons per year, and this is really a huge amount. And within Europe, only 90 million tons of food is wasted annually. So this is really a big issue, and Europe has to address it, and we have to address it at an individual level because all levels are involved, and not only because this is something that touches us in our daily life, but we have to put that into perspective. There are approximately 9 million people undernourished in the world, and within the EU itself, there is an estimated 79 million people who live beneath the poverty line, and around 16 million people depend on food aid from charities. So really, we have to think also about that when we think about food and sustainable food and food waste. The food is not only wasted at the end of life. You can see that the whole food production and consumption chain is involved. And in developing countries, 40% of the losses take place during the harvest and processing phase of the food. And in industrial countries, it's more later during at later stages of the chain, more at the retail level and the consumption level. So also for 40% of the losses that occur. So really, you see that there are different levels that are involved depending on in which area of the world you are. The impact of food waste, I've addressed that a little bit, but food is the most one of the most important drivers of environmental pressures, in particular in terms of water, land and resources, greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, and subsequent climate and habitat change. The EU has estimated that food and drink is responsible for approximately 17% of direct greenhouse gas emissions and 28% of material resources. So there is a huge impact on that side. Also, in terms of economic impact, well, food waste has an impact for individuals because they lose money, and also for municipalities and organizations in charge of waste management, because such waste management have a cost for the maintenance of landfills, where the food is most often disposed, but also transport costs and operation costs in treatment plants and separation costs also in treatment plants. And sometimes you can have some very incredible situations where, for instance, food waste is put into incinerators. So basically, you burn water, which is insane. So there is clearly a need to address also the way food waste is managed. But the best way to avoid those situations is to prevent food waste in the first place. And also, as I mentioned, food waste also raises social questions, particularly given the current global financial crisis, which rise food prices and international food shortages. So I showed you some information about the number of people who are undernourished around the world. It equals approximately 12% of the world population. And the global population is forecast to grow from the current 7 billion to 9 billion by 2050. So that will create more needs for food production. And if the consumption and production patterns are not changed, well, it will probably increase the stress on food resources since the food waste will still be at the same level. So the Prevention Thematic Days are one of the elements that can provide citizens and public authorities and private sector with some tools to address food waste. Last year, the Prevention Thematic Days focused on reuse, and this year the big focus is indeed on food waste. It does not mean that the Prevention Thematic Day will have to happen on one specific day of the week, but it still has to happen during the week. What studies showed is that people are not aware about the quantities of food they waste, and there have been initiatives like Witness Families, where municipalities or public organizations followed the behavior of some people, randomly taken people, who agreed to be followed during 1 month or 2 months. And those people, even though some of them were aware about environmental issues and the need to have a more environmentally friendly behavior, those people were not aware that they were wasting waste, but they were wasting food. Sorry. And also regarding the quantities of the food that they wasted. So those Prevention Thematic Days and the tools that will be developed within the Prevention Thematic Days are here to address this situation and to help raising awareness on the issue of food waste. The EWWR project will help by providing some tools to action developers and their coordinators. Those tools will include Prevention Thematic Days fact sheets about actions that can be developed during the European Week for Waste Reduction. Other tools will include guidelines and list of tips on how to reduce food waste during the consumption phase, with also during the storage phase in the kitchen. Also, we will give links to some cookbooks on how to cook with leftovers, for instance. This has been implemented in many areas, in many cities already, so we will give some examples of that. And also more classical tools like a poster showing some information about food waste and advertising about the need to take action. More original, we will try to develop a measurer to help households to have a better view of the quantities of food that is needed. For instance, the quantity of pasta or spaghetti, or the quantity of rice needed for 1, 2, 3 persons. So how we will do that? We will try to prepare a 3D template, and any interested people would be able to download this template and to bring that to a 3D printing shop. That those kind of shops are multiplying all over the world, all over Europe. So it's still possible to design in 3D and then print that directly. So it's a more original tool than the posters. So we think that it can be helpful for people at their homes. The more classical tool includes some fact sheets, and those fact sheets will have many examples about awareness-raising actions that can be taken and implemented during the European Week for Waste Reduction. And among them, you will find ideas about eco-restaurants and eco-canteens. Some of them will be inspired by some actions that have been developed in other parts of Europe, like the Dose initiative implemented in the Porto area. Other fact sheets will cover food storage and cooking workshops, like, for instance, some activities that have been implemented in the past through the Love Food, Hate Waste campaign. And other actions will cover issues like redistribution and zero waste meal. For instance, the Feeding the 5,000 campaign that is quite successful in the United Kingdom. Other activities like this have been implemented in other parts of Europe, for instance, in the Netherlands or in Brussels or other countries. Also interesting to address food waste are the trainings on composting, like, for instance, one action that has won an award for the EWWR 2012 in Barcelona area, implementing a study visits and trainings for kids in the zoo of Barcelona, which was quite original. So those trainings can help also to raise awareness about the need to better sort and better deal with food waste at home, and give alternatives on how to reduce food waste at the decentralized level. So there are many ideas implemented in the already in many areas and through many campaigns. I mentioned here some links. The first one is an official webpage of the European Commission, from which you can download a video that you can see a picture of on this slide. A video on fight against food waste, and this video has the advantage that it has its subtitles translated in many EU languages. I don't remember if all EU languages are covered, all these 24 languages are covered, but I think that at least most of the EU languages are covered by this video. Other links can lead you to interesting projects like the EU Fusions. That is a project also involving organizations that are also outside the scope of the EU, so not only strictly from European inputs. The Low Food Hate Waste campaign, and you have the link here. Also, two links to actions and organizations acting in the UK under the inputs of Mr. Tristram Stewart, who launched this Feeding the 5,000 initiative in the UK, and who is also involved in other activities like cleaning or the big ID, like he called it, and in order to still deal with the food waste we produce by converting that into animal foods, for instance. And of course, you have the link to the EWWR website, where you can find more information very soon, and the communication tool for the action developers who will register their action, and also for the coordinators who will be able to provide those tools to their action developers. So here it is. I will give the floor back to Mireia. And thank you for your attention. Don't hesitate to have a look at our website and to ask any questions that you want about the Prevention Thematic Days of this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Philippe. Now let's open the discussion time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Philippe? No questions?
I believe everybody is hungry, and okay, I see some questions here. Is it right to mix auto-composting with avoiding food waste? Well, it depends on what you consider as food waste prevention. If you consider that waste prevention is strictly avoiding waste, composting cannot fit into this definition. But if you consider that prevention also includes reduction at the source, it can fit, since you will actually avoid the food waste to be managed by other organizations, and in particular public authorities, who will then charge their citizens for the quantities of food that is to be managed by themselves. So home composting and decentralized composting are totally fine to be considered as food waste prevention, in our opinion, because then you avoid the food to be managed by other organizations, and in particular the municipal organizations.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I can see one question from Lucia Gula. I didn't catch if the food waste is the main theme of the EWWR 2014. That's not the only theme. Of course, all other actions are welcome, including the ones on reuse and other thematics related to the 3R, reduction, reuse, and recycling. But we still want to keep a high focus on waste prevention, and that's why we have those Prevention Thematic Days that help to keep a specific focus, on this thematic. Last year it was for reuse, since reuse is still part of waste prevention. Next year it will be about dematerialization, so sharing economy, collaborative economy, and the year after that, that will be about the qualitative waste prevention, so fighting against hazardous waste. And this year, the focus is on food waste, which does not prevent the action developers to submit any action related to other themes. It's just that there will be more communication tools for this issue, since we think that it's really important, very important thematic to be addressed. And the second question was, how does the Feeding the 5,000 campaign work in concrete? So those actions are mainly redistribution actions. Some volunteers go to the retailers and shopping centers and malls who are facing unsolved project situations. So instead of throwing away those unsolved food products, some volunteers pick these products in agreement with the retailers, and they make giant cookings and giant meals, soups, I don't know, tortillas and others, and they distribute that to the people. So there are many people who come to those kinds of events that are really friendly, and not only people having money issues, but it's also the opportunity to have some interesting moments and partying time. So that's not only for let's say poor people, but also that's for anybody who wants to get involved in a nice social event. So basically, it's finding places where there are unsold food products, and getting those unsold food products, preferably in agreement with the seller, the retailer, and organizing those big meals, those lunches, where it will attract some people. There is another question from Alex Pignol. We should understand food waste as organic, not just foods. I don't think we should understand food waste also including green waste, if that's what you mean with your question. By tackling food waste, we can also tackling green waste, meaning garden waste, leaves and branches and the grass that you cut. But here the idea is really to focus on food. Even though thanks to composting, you can also tackle green waste. The focus is really on food because it's something that is really related to consumption and something that really also talks to people. If you talk to somebody in the street about the quantity of food he will waste, he will say, "Me? Wasting food? No way." So people are not aware that they are wasting food, but this is something that talks to them. It's something that they will not want to waste food at any time. So this is something that is quite ambivalent, and that is also why there is a need to raise awareness about this issue. It's because food waste talks to everybody, and also it talks to the heart of everybody, because of course when we talk about food waste at a certain point in time, we realize, we think about poor people and people who don't have food around the world. So people don't want to waste food. So it's why also it's an issue that where they can be involved as individual citizens. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you very much, Philippe. Let's see if you have another question or. Well, if it is no more questions, let's give the floor to Alfred Barra. And I think we have a technical problem. Let's. Yeah, can you hear me? I suppose.
Well, you mean I was speaking to Mark, I was not that to making so clear and so transition that these levels of how you can see the next condition of introduction, and also linking concerning 2014 edition of the Prevention Thematic Days concerning also thank you to all the participants for making fruitful participation in clever questions and giving us the examples that the best of them are our future experts. Just to remember that presentations and recordings of these webinars will be available in the next days through the EWWR website. Also, to remind you that as soon as today, we will be sending you a survey concerning your perception and assessment of how this webinar has worked and how you have got what you expected from this webinar. Expecting that you will have a simple participation in this hoping to see you back in the edition to have a meeting of this type of webinars and present you new issues concerning the tool. And this is coming to an end, so thank you for listening. Big thank you to all of you that you are here. Hoping you will be here very soon. Now, bye-bye. See you soon.
Well, thank you everyone, and let's close right now the seminar. See you soon. Bye.